drop into it instead of stiffening out and then slamming into it. So being low is easier. When you catch your heels, if you do, and you fall, you're already low enough. You can either catch yourself or roll instead of slamming to the ground. So that's what's nice about being outdoors. It's going to force you to practice moving. It also looks like somebody else lives under here.
It's a little flatter up there.
So somebody comes up and nibbles at your ankles.
Yeah, it looks a little bit flatter up there, Your Grace.
Gonna be up there? I didn't look up there.
I don't know.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, wherever you want. You're the boss this time, I'm pretty sure of it.
About the same. Since we move, we'll go up here.
Quarter power.
All right, well, let's go for it. If you're newer, let me know. Out of practice or something, I'll switch to right-handed. It'll be a little more comfortable. Everybody else, make sure you're in a place where you can see and hear. Because each person I fight, I'm going to focus on them, but I want to talk about what's happened so we can all learn from it. Okay, what'd you guys see? Or is it too windy?
That's right.
So, first thing I did was what? The very first thing I did
Really?
was I stood out here. I stood away from him, but as soon as he came up from his bow, he was comfortable. So that let me know he wasn't going to charge. So that was my first thing. He's not going to charge me. Go ahead and take your stance. With this stance, that puts this shoulder farther back. Even though he turns it more forward, this foot's keeping it back. So for a longer reach, that foot has to move. So what I just did is I pushed to this side a little bit because his head's obviously open. But I don't know if he's just tired, doesn't know any better, or what. So if I just throw, I pay for it. So I tested it. I pumped up at his head. The shield rose and came back down, but he also cocked the sword and stepped across. So he corrects his stance, in my eye. He puts me back in front of him when I threaten, when he's ready to go. So what I'm getting is he stays back, safe, until he wants to attack, and then he's got two different ways. One is this foot, but the other, which is kind of cool, is this one. Now he turns forward to get his shots. So that's what I use. He knows his head's open, and he blocks it well, quickly. So I put my weight to one side and kept my threat over on this elbow and this side, and then when I was ready, I pushed my hip up here. He rose the corner of the shield up, leaned in for his shot, puts his weight on this leg, then turns his shield out, and I can fire under. I completed my circle here. As he dropped, I was outside. You guys see? The headshot, he covers up pretty well when he was on his knees, but because he was sword blocking, I had free shots. So I tested some spots, and he was ready to respond to anything weird, but if I threatened his face with a pump, he'd raise the shield and back. Blind, concede. So I just timed it. Blind, and then as soon as you can see, I was on my way in.
Did you slow that shot down a little bit too?
No, it was clean in.
Okay.
It's a real small spot to go through.
So you see, does that make sense?
Your Grace, did you slow down the slot shot a little bit too?
Did I slow it down?
I'm just asking.
I hesitated, and actually, that's a good point. I didn't really slow it down, but I gave no energy. Because he's got he showed me good response time, so I wanted to give him energy to get him to block, and then throw with as little energy as possible so he wouldn't respond again. I didn't want to give him any triggers. So, thanks. Next.
No one else stepping out? Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What? Yeah, sure.
See how when I back out, I don't back out all the way? You see what she wants to do? She wants to get me.
Yeah.
So she starts leaning and coming forward. But then she realizes it, so she stops. So this is not a great defense. But you can see that's not what I'm using for defense. I let my feet get too close together on the ground, so when I threw my shot, my feet got crossed up, so I didn't have good footing. I could not slide this one, so he caught me in the middle of that fall. So, two mistakes. Poor footing, and I didn't control his weapon. Okay? I saw my opening, I knew I could get it, but I didn't take the time to control his weapon. So I paid the price for it. time, which means I don't have to worry about lower shots, because he has to drop the weapon. But he likes this, he can pop thrust off. So he did it early on a few, so let me know he liked doing those. So after a few tests, letting him throw some, I got a feel for how fast he throws. Once I had that, I set up, and then I cheated, slightly to my left. And I let my head loll a little for just a few seconds. So he took his thrust, and then I could tilt out of it and fire into the arm. Okay? See how I got the arm? Anybody see it? It's hard to see from the side. So before it, I aimed straight at his weapon, and then I shifted my foot a couple inches and turned my basket and hip over, pointed right at his chest. His instinctive response was to kick the sword over, to block that shot to his body. So I knew a threat to his body, pull his hand this way. This is where he was going to be. So I did not shoot him. So I tested a little bit so he'd forget about it, stepped that way again, threw the other way, and he moved his sword over for me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Thank you. So you notice that time I kind of moved and kind of didn't. He wanted to throw. He was sitting with his sword back, and then all of a sudden he sunk a little and he pulled it. I saw this. So if he wants to throw, no matter what I do, he's going to throw. I didn't have my plan yet, so I kind of let him want to throw, and then he said, no, I'm not doing it, and let it go. Either way, I'm okay. If he threw, I would have backed out. If he doesn't throw, he doesn't throw. If he doesn't, I'm not going to let him throw when I'm throwing, unless that's what I want. Good call. See me push my hips towards his head? That's why he raised his shield. That's how I started a headshot. But I knew it would work because he did it earlier. Sure? There's a little line. Yeah. I thought you took it away with your shield. After his first couple swings, I realized his sword is very heavy. So I have to block it short on my basket if I'm going to pick up the block. But it also means his shot's going to be slower with no real recovery. So what he'll benefit from is not necessarily a lighter sword, but making sure that he starts all his shots down here. Okay, right now, though he's using his body to back up his arm and not starting with his body. If you start with your body, you'll have you have more power behind it to push the weight, but you'll also be able to change its direction. You'll also be able to start it, stop it, and start it again. Because the sword and blade will control it. Big gear. So think about it. Push the shot with him, but with speed, not strength. Next. Left foot. Good. I had threatened earlier, pushed my hips at his head, if you saw it. You notice he raised the sword. So that let me know that and then when he moved after that, he had a flow to him. So the flow told me he was ready to respond, and then he started to settle a little bit when he wants to attack. That's when I knew, that's when I realized that's when I can throw. When he decides he wants to attack. So I made my movement smaller to make him stop moving around. So he slowed down, felt more solid. As soon as he was ready, I pushed high, cut underneath, and to protect myself, I used the shield. His targeting was better, and he cleared my shield. So I did not have full control of his weapon. Thinking about it, my eyes came off his weapon. I leaned too much, and that took my eyes off of it. So I lost my stance when I went to get my shot, and that's why I got killed. So I did the right thing setting him up, but then I reached too much for the shot. I should have cut under more. I would have at least been able to see and respond. Thank you. Thank you. So now I know how fast he is. And I know he startles easy. See? So he likes to countershoot, but now he's not sure if he should countershoot or not. I did that because he hadn't thrown for a while. When somebody throws instinctively, they can't wait too long to throw, so they want to throw again. So I need to get that out of his system. Body. Why'd he get me? You know why?
You were out of your stance?
Yep, I wasn't in the fight.
You were back?
I was relaxing.
Facing this right either.
Too close. So my feet were flat. So when he threw a shot and followed up, I was not ready to move. Okay? So if I'm going to relax like that, I need to be another pace back, or I need to be prepared. Not standing around. I stood around, sloughed off the first one, which all that did was open me up for the second one. So
You weren't ready for me to charge you.
right, that's exactly right. Yep. Fight wasn't over, but I wasn't ready. Whose fault is that?
Yours.
That's exactly right. It's my fault. So good time.
But you see what I mean about you getting so much more information about me than I got about you?
Yes.
Even so, I can't break down. Like I was trying to read you, and I can't break down.
Right. But you weren't doing anything to gain information.
I was trying to.
Yeah. Mostly you were moving around.
Okay.
But there was no threat to a position here. It felt more like gaining a position than gaining
What's the difference
information.
between registering that tension
And
as
because
opposed
you
to
throw
just
large,
moving?
and that's okay, but you need that when you do it.
Yeah.
Probably kick this hip down into an area. So it goes down and back up. Okay? So there's the circle. So the circle can go forward, down, up, and out.
And by doing that, I would gain more information, or
Because you throw heavy,
Uh-huh.
this sudden tuck into the lower body, or you would throw this big haymaker boom, to a leg. See what they do. And as you do it, you slide into the range, just like you were doing it, and then you just come right back out again. And see how they respond. So you actually start a thing, let them have their response. Just like I did to you. I came up and I pushed it at your head. I even did it with my sword, because I didn't care.
You gotta hear this one.
Oh yeah. To show me you threw your shield up and brought it right back down, but also threw a haymaker. My pleasure. How's this going for everyone?
Good, thank you.
Very good. Hello, good to see you again. As do I, thank you. What happened?
Bob.
You see she blinds herself?
Yep.
Yeah.
But she goes quick, and as she drops, she starts her attack. So at first, you'll notice I followed her.
Yep.
She just kept pulling me back. So she's reeling me in. She's practically waiting for me to throw so she can stop, and all she has to do is stop and throw, and that covers the range without even moving.
Yeah.
I'm the one who ends up closing it when she wants to throw. So I slowed down, and then I kind of stood there just out of range, and then I backed up. So I started pulling her back. And when she started to relax, I didn't threaten because she'd pull back again. So I just brought my stuff up so it kind of felt like a fight. So she's like, here we go. And then she kept coming. So that meant she wasn't going backwards anymore. So I threatened the head a couple of times, and I realized as I did them, I'd made larger fakes. She bought them well. So I figured she's not quite ready to throw, so I'm going to fire just a quick one with no body language. So instead of cross shooting, like I'd been threatening, I just pushed straight out. And when it's straight like that with no energy, it appears to be ungodly fast, but you can't see the movement. But it's not. My weapon's forward, and everything traveled forward. Pop.
He did look ungodly.
Yeah. Now those on the side, did it look fast?
Not really.
No.
It looked like it did.
Yeah. And everybody else was like, oh my god, it was so fast. Ron is this man. Thank you. What's that?
It looked like you leaned in a little bit to get that.
A little bit. I did nothing to control his weapon, and I had no lateral movement. Okay? So I compressed directly into him with a leg shot. This leaves me nowhere to go. It should have been this. But I chose to lean straight in. Okay, so what we talk about in the first one, the very first rule, the simplest rule, keep your stance. I point at them, they don't point at me, and you keep your stance. That's exactly right. I did neither of those. So I got hit for it. Nice.
It's working, right?
So next we can fight the. That's amazing. He's somebody I could watch all day. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Yeah. I can see you get very filthy with the phone back there.
Totally.
Have your shoulder. Tip on the. So how'd that work? You see what I did right and wrong? I still didn't move laterally, so he got a tip on my leg. Quite hard enough, but he got a shot in. I also hit him on the shoulder, but I probably could have killed him. Okay? So I have to ask myself, I've been making these mistakes like 3 or 4 times now, so what's the issue? I'm probably getting tired. Right? So I need to ask myself, do I keep going? Or do I suck it up?
Suck it up.
Okay. And that's up to
Mentally
you
tired
guys.
or physically tired?
Physically. And maybe
Suck
some
it up
mentally,
for
I'm
one
not
more.
focusing.
Well,
What's
we
actually
could
going on?
fight each other and you could do
You
it
have
on
to
your
suck
own.
it up for one
No, I'm
more.
okay with it.
Rifkin gets one.
There's different lessons in here. So, am I just getting a little tired, so I'm getting sloppy, or am I just not focusing enough to get past being tired? Because we're all going to be tired. I'm able to yell at you guys still. I can't be too far off. So really, I think what's happening is I'm probably a little tired. And I'm getting a little lackadaisical too. So I need to pick it up. So that's the lesson in there. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I need to fix it.
Just in time for you. Rifkin.
I know. I'm overjoyed.
Sorry. So how to get the leg? You see me cut laterally? Earlier on, I tested, look, she's pointing this way, which a lot of you guys do. So what I'm looking for is, this is open. So with a lot of you, what happens is when I threaten one, you open up the other. But you correct quickly to try to make up for it. What she actually does is, as her head is threatened, she drops below the shield, but then sinks, so she doesn't actually sacrifice the leg. And then she comes out of it. What it means is I lose both those targets. However, though it's risky, it opens up her shield side, leg, and hip, and blinds her. So what I did is I pushed down here to get that compression, waited just a short second, and then cut over and threw at the leg on the way out. I wanted her to go down and to feel like I was still here, so as she completed her shot, I was in a new area and it would be hard to correct. And then I could slide over. Okay? So like when I fought him, I chose to block his shot with my shield. With hers, I chose to set up and then get out of the way. So if I'd done more body before less shield, I might have survived that. Okay?
That is everyone. Let's go back through.
You want to go back through, or you want to start doing one-on-ones and I'll 2 cents in? Want to do that for a bit? Why don't we do that? Because then you guys get to play more that way.
It's just, yeah, right there.
Fight.